Hello and welcome to 3 ways to make an impact as a new social worker. This is Social Work Sorted. I am Vicky Shevlin and it's so lovely to have you here, so welcome. I am a social worker. I have been where you are as a new social worker, gone from newly qualified through to being a senior practitioner and most recently a child protection conference chair. I am a trainer, a consultant, podcast host, a mentor, and a friend. I started Social Work Sorted in 2021 as an online platform for newly qualified social workers. In that time, it has grown to a community of over 10,000, and it is something so special that I am really, really proud of. It has always been my aim to create resources for newly qualified social workers in practice to help them build confidence, skills, and be able to do the parts of the job that they love the most. So, why am I talking today about impact? Well, the majority of new social workers who arrive at this page and talk to me about their experience use one word: overwhelmed. And when new social workers are overwhelmed, it leads to them feeling fear, panic, and stress. It's really common for me to hear phrases like, I don't think I can do this, I don't know enough, I don't know if this is for me. And if new social workers like you are heading into practice with this mindset, it's going to affect the impact that you can make. I know that you know social work in England at the moment is not rainbows and butterflies. New social workers are entering into practice in a really complex and conflicted political and economical time. This is not toxic positivity. By talking to you about the positive impact that you can have on people's lives, I don't want to ignore the context, but I will always be realistic about what you can do, and I invite you to think about things in the same way. Because whatever you do as a new social worker, there will always be an impact. And sometimes it can be small changes that will make the difference between that impact being positive or negative. And when I'm talking about impact, I'm talking about the impact on people's lives. So here are 3 ways that you can start to think about that. We'll start with perspective. The power of being a social worker is that you have a unique perspective. You are able to zoom in at any time to look at the person, the human behind what is happening, to connect with people on a one-to-one level. That is so powerful. But perspective also means zooming out, being able to view the systems that surround a person, seeing a child or a family within the context of what's happening, and help other people understand that as well. When you, as a new social worker, embrace a perspective that considers factors like the climate breakdown, the refugee crisis, racism, and anti racism, it all connects to your power to make a positive impact. Number 2, people. We work with humans, with human relationships, with the dynamics of human relationships, and everything that comes with that. As a new social worker in children's services, I won't lie to you, it is very likely you are going to be bombarded with admin. You will go back to that one word we talked about at the beginning, the feeling of being overwhelmed. And it is so easy for those different procedures, policies, for all the admin to take over. It is very easy for you to forget why you went into this job in the first place, the people. You will make an impact based on the quality of relationships that you have and nurture. Quite often you will hear people say, well, I don't have time to do that. I've got too much on my to-do list. I've got so much admin. And all those things can be true. But when you think about the compound effect of an action like smiling at somebody or praising them or saying something kind or thoughtful or empathetic, and the length of time that that action will demonstrate impact, it's a reminder that when you are under all that stress, when you are feeling overwhelmed, when you are feeling fear, when you are feeling panic, come back to people, to human relationships, to small steps that you can do to build those. Come back to people, to the small steps that are realistic for you to take to build relationships. You won't regret it and you will always see an impact. And third and finally, process. Now you're probably thinking, Vicky, you've just talked all about human relationships and now you're talking about process. But there's a reason why I talk about process. There's a reason why my training, my masterclasses, my online courses are set up the way that they are. Because I know from my own experience and from mentoring hundreds of newly qualified social workers through this platform that when you don't understand processes that are happening around you, when you feel overwhelmed with some of the day-to-day tasks that you are required to do as a children's social worker, like undertaking home visits, completing assessments, managing meetings, it is impossible then to move one step forward in terms of focusing on perspective, on people, on social justice, on centering children and families' voices, because you are so overwhelmed with the process. That is why it is my aim to break down those processes into step by step formats, not because you can't handle anything that's too complex, but because you are so overwhelmed with all the different things that you're trying to experience. If you don't know how to chair a meeting, if no one has ever talked you through that process before, you are going to find it much harder to chair a meeting that is anti oppressive, anti racist, that centres children's voices, where you are able to manage conflict, where you're able to embrace challenge. And that leads to processes that become tick box, formalised, unhelpful, and essentially having either no impact or a negative impact. Again, when it comes to assessment skills, I've seen it hundreds of times. There's an assumption made that a new social worker understands how to undertake a child and family assessment, which isn't always the case depending on placement. And if new social workers are heading into practice unequipped with how to do this, then the assessments that come back will not be holistic, they will not be child centred, they will then not lead to effective planning and intervention, whatever that looks like for a child and family. So, when I talk about process and the impact that that can have, I'm not necessarily talking about ticking those boxes exactly the way they're supposed to be ticked. I'm talking about children's social workers having a sound understanding of the statutory tasks that they are required to do so that they then have the confidence to work with the complexities of those systems. If you're a newly qualified social worker and you are feeling overwhelmed, stressed, panicked, full of fear, come back to these three ideas to ground yourself and center your practice: perspective, people, and process, for all the right reasons and to make a positive impact. Thank you so much for watching. If you are a newly qualified social worker, head to Social Work Sorted, where you'll find a number of other free trainings. And if you are a service lead and you're interested in CPD accredited training, you can get in touch with me, Vicky, at socialworksorted.com to talk all things social work, obviously my favourite subject. A new social worker, I see you out there. I know the struggles that you're going through. I understand that overwhelmed feeling. Everything that you're going through, I have been through too. Please know that you are not alone in any of it, and there are so many resources out there to help and support you. Thank you for choosing this career, and thank you for doing everything that you are doing for the wonderful people that you work alongside. Please take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon.